How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another
great, Jeff. Thanks for asking.
I didn't ask, Dave. Please be quiet. Could you have some silence on the set, please? We are here. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Great to see you.
Good. Nice shirt. We didn't even plan this.
Twinsies. Who wore it better, right?
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of The Musician Mindset with Coop and Jeff. And we have a super special guest this week. Dave, you want to tell everybody about her?
Well, I thought you were introducing me. I really appreciate you calling me a super guest.
I said special guest. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. So Jen.
Let's move on. Yeah.
So Jen Montone is our guest today. And I feel very lucky to have this conversation with Jen, because Jen is one of the first people who supported me in becoming, kind of a professional horn player.
Kind of.
So I took a break from the horn, and when I came back, Jen was one of the most encouraging people to me. And throughout my career, Jen has always been encouraging. I remember in 2008 for the first time, or 2007, I think I met her for the first time. And I remember I went to her house. She made time for a lesson for me. And I think she was living maybe over off Delancey Street in Philadelphia. And I'd gone to school in Philly, so I knew Philly a little bit. And Jen
is that named after John Delancey, the Philadelphia oboe player?
I think they did. I think they were like, Oboe Street.
Right, yeah.
Oboe, you didn't.
Here's some quick trivia. John Delancey's the oboe player with the Philly Orchestra forever.
Yes.
His son is also named John Delancey, and he played Q on Star Trek Next Generation.
That's right.
He babysat my bassoonist's sister's teacher. Anyway, really wild when he was going to Curtis. Anyway, yeah,
holy smokes.
Extension. But anyway, there's all this Delancey stuff. So she saw you.
Yeah, she saw me. She heard me playing, and she gave me some real encouraging words. And then I remember I went and I re-auditioned for Curtis, because I'd taken a break from the horn. I left Curtis, and she, made it happen for me to get an audition there. And I was actually gonna join her studio as a horn player, a horn student. And I remember that same week I had a few other auditions, and I ended up winning an audition in the Fort Worth Symphony. And I called Jen immediately, and I said, Jen, I don't really think I want to go to Fort Worth. I really want to study with you, and I want to finish my degree. And Jen said, the reason that I'm teaching you is so you can win a job. Jobs are few and far between right now. You go take that job. And I said, but Jen, I want to study with you. She's like, do you?
It's like, I really don't want you to come here. Please go.
Yeah. So Jen basically said, go take the job. And I remember thinking wow, number one, a student who she, really liked working with, she's telling him, hey, listen, go take a job over going to school. And it was one of those things that it was kind of a selfless act. It was one of those things.
Yeah, exactly. I
care more about you than I care about, maybe I just think, she's really invested in me as a student and a player. And it's always
a lot about her and where her mindset is for sending, to remember why we're doing all this training, why we go to school. And it's not to, it might be to get the degree as well, but the degree alone doesn't get you in those jobs. It's you playing. And even that, there's people who get into win auditions and don't get tenure because they're either too centered on their own stuff or not playing with the orchestra, or not following those other personal things, and all that balance from horn playing to who you are. Sorry everybody, if you're seeing us now, we just had to restart the stream.
Jeff, I was just going to compliment you. I was going to compliment you on how well you're doing technology.
That's what jinxed it, I think. Okay, let's get Jen on here real quick.
Absolutely.
So I don't keep working on the technology. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Jen Montone. Jen!
Hey!
Hey, Jen, great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. So the first thing we have to cover too is I don't know what the laws are like in Philadelphia, but driving and doing a podcast, you're gonna get caught. I don't know what to say. I guess this is live. It's not live. It's recorded. Never mind. Did this an hour ago. Exactly. Just try and catch her.
This is not happening.
You hold the phone high enough that you can see the road at least.
Watch out!
Holy mindset.
I'm sitting in a parking lot. It's so sad. Actually, I'm not in Pennsylvania right now. I'm actually in Virginia. So I'm breaking out of state laws as well.
Right. You had to go that far for an internet?
Right?
Lancey's a long
I
road.
go this far to lose all my internet. No, but we're in the middle of nowhere because my kids are insane and they were just driving each other crazy in our little house.
Yours are as loud as mine.
So did you leave them in Virginia and you're driving back? You're just like, all right, leaving them as far as I can, and then I'll drive back to Philly.
Give them a bowl of Cheerios and like a bottle of water. It'll be awesome.
Oh, see, that covers one of our questions. We were going to ask you about balancing family and musician life.
Oh, man.
How have you been?
That is a big question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know all about that. Yeah, I'd say like it's comedy kind of, but
you have to laugh.
I'm learning how to switch gears. Yeah. I'm learning how to switch gears, like when I'm in mom mode and then I go to teaching mode and then to playing mode, just kind of what's required of my brain and my soul is very different. So I'm trying to learn
I've
how
heard
to
from
be
a lot of people,
in.
it's great to you get way more efficient with your practice time. What have you found once becoming a parent? What happened to your practice time? And we'll also let this be a suggestion to all the people without kids or a significant other or whatever that like listen to what happens to your time. Go ahead, Jen. What happened?
It all goes away. But you do then have more. I think as you fill your life with other things, like life things, I think then you have more to say in your playing. Like I think your playing has more, like, I mean, it's like anything. If you have a bad breakup or somebody dies in your family, like you have something that then when you're trying to express something sad or heartfelt or difficult, you know what that feels like. So that comes in naturally. So I think for every minute of practice time I've lost, there's been at least 25 times that I've been freaking out and instantly like right before a piece, like before a solo, I'll think like, oh, this reminds me so much of Felix, of my youngest one. And then I just like melt inside because I'm like, oh, my baby.
Very
and then all of a sudden, like,
then
I'll like attach to that and I'll just be like, okay, well, so I'm just going to say I love you to my baby. And that's easy. So like, I think anytime life comes in, you can use it at some point, not to use the people in your life, but you can use your life experiences. But yeah, then when you're practicing, you do have to be efficient. Like I do think sometimes before my kids are going to bed, I'll be thinking a little bit like, oh, what am I going to get done tonight? And it's like tonight, well, like last week when we were playing this, God, my middle register, like I couldn't, I didn't have like the response that I wanted. I didn't have the control I wanted. I wanted to do a diminuendo on that and use a really light tongue, and it wasn't going to work. So, okay, I need to babysit that tonight because that's been bugging me or whatever. So I give thought to what has been working lately and what hasn't been, and then I try to have a very targeted practice session every night.
Welcome back, everybody. You missed the greatest thing that's ever been said online. Apologies for that. So let's continue. Just kidding. They're talking about their warm-ups and how they stole them from other people.
Yeah.
Well,
we adapted that. Her warm-up is David's warm-up, just a little bit less long. Is that right? So David was just asking about your warm-up. You want to talk about it for 10 seconds? Go.
My warm-up?
We've run out of time.
Okay, well, what I just joked with David is that my warm-up is his warm-up, but less long. Because he said that he stole his warm-up that he just put in this amazing video that I love from Colio, who is my student from Juilliard, who's now in Colorado, which I apparently gave him some of those exercises, and then he probably adapted them, and then you adapted. I guess the thing is, my warm-up is very Caruso-based, and it's very arpeggio-based. I tend to, now as a professional, I warm up what I need. I think physically, I've always needed my body to be working well before I do anything else. So I prioritize stretching and breathing more than the actual exercises.
Oh, wow.
And because my body is the way it is, like I don't breathe well in the morning. So everything that's acrobatic or like a lot of, like anything that goes high or anything that's jumping around a lot, I kind of have to do later in the day. So I have like a really basic warm up that is tailored to whatever the pieces are that we're playing that week or whatever I'm practicing. And then at night I do kind of a big gonzo thing that has all of my basics, because then I'm breathing well and I'm supporting well and I'm using my air, and I'm not playing off my face or getting tense or tight or whatever. So in the morning I do like 5 minutes of yoga. I'll do like 5 minutes of like breathing gym or a breathing bag, like Arnold Jacobs breathing bag. I'll do something like that, and then I'll do some arpeggios, and it'll either be like loud and sustained, like the Farkas, the loud ones, or I'll do then maybe some of the fast, like facile, that kind of thing. And then I'll do a couple Caruso things that are kind of more easy, mouthpiece buzzy type of like lip mouthpiece horn or the noodles and snakes. Some
Jen?
of that.
Hey, yeah. Jen, would you make a video about this?
Oh, there we go.
First of all, do you have a website that we can go check these out on?
I do have a website. It does not have warm-up exercises, but yes, I could make a video.
Yay!
Yours is so good. People should just watch yours.
But what you were just talking about, your morning routine, if you can walk us just through that, like what a day in the life of like a principal horn player. Like, what do I do for, all right, it's the Heldenleben warm-up. Okay, what about the Mahler 3 warm-up? What about the Mozart?
Oh, that's a cool idea.
You know,
yeah.
And like,
I love that.
And how you tailor that to different pieces, but then also like, how do I keep these skills going that I don't touch on every day? And on a Mozart week, I'm not going to touch on my loud playing. So could you maybe showcase like what you do in the evening, like to keep those loud things up, and just give us some ideas on things to work on?
That is brilliant. Okay, I will do that.
Yay. Can you call us back when you're done?
Nice.
Call us back when you're done.
Totally. Yeah, right. It'll be about 2 weeks. It'll be awesome.
Awesome.
So,
great.
No, but,
yeah, sorry not to cut you off.
It's great to steal warm-ups from other people. And I think it is, like Freudis was telling our little horn class last week, that it's good to alternate your warm-up. Like if you feel like you're getting mindless about it, it's not bad to have like a Monday warm-up and a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday, like to have maybe, every day a different one, or a pack of 4 that you alternate or something. I do find that when I do the exact same warm-up for longer than about a week, then I'm not paying attention to anything. And so my basics kind of get pretty mediocre. Like I'm not breathing and I'm just kind of going through the motions, and I'm not paying attention to evenness of sound or healthiness or using my air or
that's the challenge. Like, how do we keep it fresh? How do we keep the simplicity?
My masterclass today is going to be about gear and recording. And Jen, do you have any thoughts on microphones? Do you tell your students what to get or how to think about gear?
No, I do not. They are all way more good at technology than I am, so they can tell me what to get.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We'll make a video about that.
Zoom is as cool as I am. That's all I got.
Zoom, what's that?
How great is this that we can all be connected right now, even during the quarantine? I mean, it's just, I feel like I'm in the same room with you guys, and also the generosity of all the musicians. I mean, Jen, yourself.
And thank you.
We really appreciate your insights on music and just sharing your time with us. What is it like to be principal horn of the Philadelphia Orchestra? I mean, Philadelphia Orchestra is known as like one of the greatest orchestras in the world, and it's also known as like probably my favorite. I mean, it's my favorite string sound. So what is it like to hear that every day and to get to, listen and learn and imitate from that?
Well, first off, thank you for all of your things. Your interviews have been amazing and really, really cool in your master classes. I could ask you the same about Chicago. I think it's interesting with the different orchestras. Like what I love about our field is like that they all kind of have their things, and that the things that an orchestra is known for and sort of like what we're all proud of, like that changes over time. Like I absolutely agree. Like the Philly string sound is amazing, and I love the Philly like woodwind tradition. I feel like those two kind of things like feed my soul from just like always and forever. But then again, then I also listen to other orchestras and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I think like our brass lately, I think we've been trying to get more badass, for lack of a better word. Like, I feel like we, like, I think like it's cool to change things too, like to try to bring, like whatever you think the perception is of your orchestra, like to try to bring different things to it and to bring your own personality to a band as you're getting there. So I think it's kind of a neat thing because it's this ever living and growing thing. So whatever we admire about our colleagues, to like keep that, and also whatever you feel like you can add to the mix to sort of confidently add that. Like, I guess I would say that to young players, like, feel free when you get somewhere to both like take in and be inspired by everybody around you, and then also like try to be as brave with putting your own personality in that mix as you can, because I think that's what makes these orchestras as vibrant and amazing as they are. Like, it's cool to be part of these historic institutions that still feel like we all have a lot to grow and learn. Like, I think we're all striving really hard all the time in these orchestras, every orchestra everywhere. And I think we're all learning from each other, like in the moment. Like, oh, that person has been really working on their, like, you can tell when people have been prioritizing things and working on their own playing. And I think like that growing and learning and lifetime learner kind of aspect is maybe the thing that I find most inspiring about our field as a whole.
Wow.
Billy,
Yeah, that's an exciting time for you guys too to be doing that. You have some new members as well in your horn section.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like I've learned so much from, like, Dan Williams just retired, and I learned so much from him. I miss him like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like hard when your colleagues retire, and it's exciting then when you meet new people that you can kind of work together with and learn from. So it's kind of all of those things, but the sweet family aspect of what we do is just so beautiful.
Yeah. Dave, sorry, welcome back again. I think I might have a 5-minute limit on my hosting or something. I'll figure out for next time. Apologies. That's all on me. And David and I were just asking Jen to talk about her audition training, but also just maybe to go a bit wider and talk about performance training and what to do with chamber music and all these different ways that we train for performance, as push yourself to excellence in your own performance. What have you done, Freaky?
Well, geez, now you're making me want to interview the both of you, because I think it's interesting. Like, Jeff, your fearless performance thing is so powerful, and I think that's kind of like the key to any kind of performing in scary situations, of which auditions absolutely are. Switching into that performance mode where you're giving and you're sharing and you're being opinionated and you're being full of flair and flamboyance and just putting yourself out there and like kind of drawing on our love of what we're doing and the love of like these pieces. I think that's the most powerful performance, kind of thing. So, I mean, in terms of like teaching audition preparation and teaching performance success of any kind, I try to direct people to things like your whole performance, fearless performance thing, and other things like it. There's a lot of these resources, like Noah Kageyama has something called the Bulletproof Musician, the Don Green that are so great. I worked with Don Green a ton.
Could you talk about,
like,
can I stop you? Could you talk about Don Green? Who is he and how did you work?
Okay, so he is a performance coach who also is a sports psychologist, and he's worked with business people as well. And he wrote 3 books, Audition Success, Fight Your Fear and Win, and Performance Success. And he also has like an online quiz and something you can join for help, kind of coaching with him. But he was, Julie Landsman, my teacher, brought him to Juilliard, and he was coaching the horns there the years that I was there. And it just was amazing to like work with somebody like that. Like, if, that like is why auditions went well for me. When I was taking them, is because of like having that just right in front of me. So, but now we have it all online anyway. So that's awesome too.
Could I back up? I think one of the things that strikes me is it's like the insights that you got about yourself. You learned about yourself and then you were able to use that knowledge to perform. Could you talk about that?
Yes. I have the feeling you do that too, internal wisdom guy. But anyway, yes, I agree. Like, we all have our pros and our cons, and the things that are really great about us and the things that are a little bit not as helpful. And in life, that's true. But then in horn playing, you can tailor that. So like, I'm incredibly enthusiastic. I talk a mile a minute. I get super excited. I overdo things. Like, my stuff gets less refined. Yes, right. All three of us, right? So like, but that's passion, and that's exuberance, and that's love. So when I play from that, that works. That's not everybody though. So I have to like calm myself down. So I did a lot of working with Julie. She was so helpful. So she's so like balanced and grounded and wise and calm and efficient and like just like very precise. So like whenever I have to get myself in that mindset, I'm just like, Julie, just, you know, I nose breathe and I slow down my words and I try to be concise and I think of one thing. And I think of Caruso, I think of breath, and I think of time, and I think of calming everything down and one mental focus. So like, yes, like learning what, you know, what works for different pieces and how you tailor your own personality to the different pieces, I think is pretty powerful. So like for some excerpts for auditions, I let myself go. I'm like, Mahler 3, yes, we're gonna do this. And then other things I have to calm down and subdivide and breathe slow and be like, you know, like be detailed and make sure that I'm just, you know.
I want to share something here that's on my screen. Can you guys see that picture?
Aw, is he in timeout?
So that he is in self-imposed timeout because he was trying to record a piece on the piano, and he got to the end and made a mistake, and then ended up in tears, as we all know really well. So I want to ask you, so that was an amazing post on Facebook with, you know, hundreds of comments on just, yeah, I've been there, go Risco, you know, like just, but it's those moments that, and that are not, we don't talk about it that much. But we've all had it. We've all shed lots of tears. I always say, you know, tears are great. It means you care. If you're not crying, you're maybe you're not feeling that pain enough, you know, go get your heart broken. So you have some stories in your music. And then if it was easy, it wouldn't be, you know, worth all the work we're doing for it. Jen, we know you've had your share on your journey. How do you deal with something you're personally unhappy with in your performance? What do you do? You started talking about it. But
Yeah.
are you ever unhappy?
Okay, so
are you ever unhappy with what you've played, or is it just all perfect like it sounds?
All the time. Constantly. Well, to the lifelong learning thing, yes. Like, oh my God. Yeah. I feel like everybody's playing goes up and down. There's so many plateaus, there's so many divots, and there's these unbelievably satisfying, you know, hills and mountains that are so exhilarating. Yeah, like, so to the cheerleader thing, I think resilience, what I was saying is that I try to have a cheerleader inside my head while I'm playing. And because I think at any moment we've practiced in different things for different parts of a piece, right? Any kind of piece, like you've got goals for every little part of it. And if then you've got it written down, then when something goes wrong in the moment, when you've cracked something, and especially the more embarrassing it is, like I get this zing of like electricity, like as if I've been struck by lightning, like of shame and just humiliation or whatever, and fury. And I'm just like, and then I'm electrified, and I'm like, expletive. And
I start
okay,
sweating.
No.
I get a physical reaction. I'm just drenched with sweat, and it comes down my face.
Right. So like you feel this thing, and then I think the key is for horn players, because we're gonna crack a lot, is then to redirect and be like, okay, so then next phrase. And it's like, no. Like, so now I'm gonna smooth that out. And I think I cracked because I wasn't so and I got them with the band, or I think I'm sharp. Okay, maybe that's why. Okay, whatever. So you try to maybe fix whatever it is that you think just went wrong, and then you just redirect to whatever your musical goals are. And I find that that's really helpful for in the moment, and you got to practice that in. So like when you're practicing and you blitz something or mess something up or just like, it's actually helpful not to stop and instead to just keep on going and try to use what you just learned, because you just had a moment of learning. and then you can use that for your next thing. So either like, if it seems like a fluke, don't worry about it, just move on. If it feels like something that you know that you're sharp, or you know you're behind, or you know you're not supporting, or you know you're not doing something that you should be doing, then fix it and then move on. But like then later, I feel like I record a lot of stuff that we play, because if I can't figure it out in the moment, then I can go back and figure it out. And I feel like problem solving is sort of the key to sanity. Like to be able to feel like, okay, I'm just going to keep trying to fix this stuff until like I feel happy with it. And then also then humor and forgiveness and like just like acceptance.
It's not funny. This isn't funny.
Yeah. Love yourself and just be like, okay, we're going to keep on striving, people. Woo.
Hey,
you know?
Jen, could you talk about humor and how humor has helped you in your in just dealing with life and, you know, how keeping things in perspective?
Yeah. Well, life's like hysterical. Like, oh my God. And the things that happen and the like the gaffes that we make, it's like, it's crazy. But I do find that the music world is so loving. Like, I think when I got into the field, I felt like maybe it was going to be judgmental and relentless and without compassion. And I feel like people, I mean, when I've like made a huge like fool of myself in some situation, almost always somebody will tell me something gorgeous that they thought I did. It's like people know that like you feel bad about something, and they want you to know that you're appreciated and you're okay, and it's okay to be human, because what you do is an art and it's a personal reflection of yourself. And since none of us are perfect, our performances aren't going to be, but it doesn't mean that we're not beautiful. Like the imperfectly perfect, like we're perfect in our imperfection, because we're all beautiful and we're artists and we're all striving. Like that's something the gift I've been given by colleagues over and over again. It's like, yes, like your back, like I had this huge back injury. It's like, yes, your back has been bad, so you're not as strong as you used to be, but yes, you still are a beautiful, like, you know, like a collaborator and a good colleague, and we love your music making. And so it's like, just, there's, you know, compassion out there. So I think we shouldn't feel too terrible. Just keep on striving, basically.
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome. There's an idea of that you are not what you do, you know, that, and it can go both ways. There are people that think too highly of themselves because of how good they are at doing their instrument or whatever along the way.
Sure.
It's keeping that.
Well, there's this, do you guys know the Tao Te Ching? Yes, exactly.
No,
yeah,
say again, please.
Tao Te Ching. It's a Tao Te Ching. It's TaoTeching. It's like an ancient Buddhist text, but they sell like little mini books with like daily meditations off of the Tao Te Ching. And it's like got this beautiful essence in it that like the master strives to the farthest that they can strive. They give their all 100%, and then they let it go. And they don't attach to the outcome. They don't attach to the accolades. They don't attach to even their desires or their fears. They strive, they put in the work, and then they just give it over to the universe. And in that, they're ever growing, but they're not like seized by their desires for anything.
And especially during performance.
Amazing.
That's what the difference. You can make it better tomorrow or make it better the next time and make your plan better. But every performance is that only opportunity to execute for that audience. There's a book, Zen and the Art of Archery as well. I'm sure you know that one.
Yeah, buddy.
And the quote on the back, you know, he talks about how if the archer aims at the target, he sees one target clearly. If he aims at the target to win the buckle, now the archer has two targets and their attention is split. One to hit the target and one to get the accolades or win the audition or all this diluting stuff. That's great to get me off the couch in the morning to go practice.
Exactly.
That's a good fear. But once I enter the performance, aim the arrow and just execute, you know, and you'll find out later if you got the buckle or not, you know.
Hey, Jen?
Your pencil.
Yeah.
Could we hear, I mean, would you be willing to talk about just recovery from injury and your physicality and just how that is something that, like, I mean, obviously it's something that's out of your control at a certain point, but then it's like you've, you know, taken effort to like come back from that. And what has that been like for you in your mind? Like, what's the psychological process that you kind of gone through?
Way to go for all of this. This is amazing stuff you're about to talk about, just like the rest of it.
But, geez. Well, I'm laughing because talk about like humor and compassion, or self-compassion, like in self-acceptance from where you are. Yeah, so I had basically one car accident that sort of caused everything. I had a jaw injury when I was in St. Louis where like I was in a car like this. And but my sister was driving. I was talking to her, and she was in the driver's seat, and I had my feet up on the dashboard, which is a terrible idea. Don't ever do that. And, and so my back got completely out of whack. We're learning.
Yeah.
Woo. My mom told me that like 1,000 times when I was little, and like that sweet lady, she never said I told you so.
Okay, everyone, we are back, and I paused Jen in the middle of this story because now it's a predictable 5-minute thing. I deeply apologize for those that are still with us, and we're going to have Jen back again with a more flowing talk sometime soon. But
Jeff, real quick, are you recording the Zoom conversation? Because maybe we could post the whole entire Zoom thing without the interruption.
Yeah, we'll edit it together. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk about what they missed in between and put some nice segues because we were just talking about Netflix while we got back. Okay, so you got hit by a car.
Yeah. I got hit by, Anyway, so then my jaw was all out of whack. So then I went to actually a bunch of specialists. There are orofacial specialists that work with hockey players. There was one in St. Louis who was amazing and worked with me for like 2 years. It was incredible. And but yeah, and I took time off from the orchestra, and everybody was really nice about that. And I was having trouble trying to figure out how to come back. So I went to a man named Richard Letterman. He's at the Cleveland Clinic. He's the head of the Performing Arts Clinic, and he's a neurologist, and he helped me back from both of my injuries. Yeah, if anybody ever like needs somebody who knows something about music and obviously is a doctor, those performing arts clinics, I can definitely speak very highly to Cleveland Clinic's one, because when he didn't know what to do with a student of mine, didn't know what to do with, but it wasn't his specialty to deal with her shoulder, he sent her to the shoulder guy who had done shoulder surgeries for like 10 people in the Cleveland Orchestra. So maybe they all were working together.
What's his name? Sorry, I'll try and post it. What's his name?
Richard Letterman, Lederman.
Okay,
and
Jen,
he's a neurologist. Yeah.
Jen, maybe we could get him on the show to talk a little bit about, maybe we could get his contact information from you after the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to have him on just to talk about the physical side of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was brilliant, like both times. So I went to him after my jaw injury, and then that was in St. Louis in 2004. And then I also went to him 3 years ago when I had my back injury. After my surgery, I also didn't know when to come back and how quickly I could come back to playing. And I kept on coming back to the orchestra. Both times I came back to the orchestra, I would sound awful, and it would hurt, and it would be uncomfortable, and I couldn't focus, and I couldn't play, and I sounded terrible. And then I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm out again. And it was not healthy for my section to have me in and out like a yo-yo. So anyway, and both of these guys came and played, when I was out for my back. Anyway, in both cases, it was a big mental issue. So then my back started to go out over the years. It took me 8 months to get back to playing in St. Louis. And then I took the Philly audition, maybe 6 months after that. And the Philly audition, I feel like went so well because I was feeling really grateful. And I didn't feel as nervous. I was just like, thank God.
Jen, we lost you there.
I think when we lose her, David, you can't talk to her. I don't know if you understand that part.
She's driving.
Yeah, she's driving. She's in a tunnel.
Am I back?
You're in a tunnel. Yes, yep, you're back.
Okay, good. Anyway, I just
David said
so
some nice things to you while you were gone. Go ahead.
I felt so grateful to actually be able to take that audition. So then my back injury kind of developed over the next 10 years, 12 years. I had 2 C-sections, and then I had the 2 kids, and I was pushing strollers around and stuff. And so then I ended up with a huge back injury where I was one day I was laying in a parking lot in pain, and some guy was praying over me. It got really, really bad. And I had to have emergency surgery. Yeah. I had to have emergency surgery because I had this thing called cauda equina, where if you don't have surgery within 24 hours, you're paralyzed. So it's got really intense, and I should have heard the warnings, felt the warnings, and stopped playing, but I waited too long. So again, a learning experience. But coming back, so I went to Dr. Letterman again to kind of say how long am I going to be out? And in both cases, he was like, it's going to be a lot longer than you think, kid. I know you want to get back on that horse and start playing, but you really got to heal first. And I was like, oh, And then that was with the jaw one. And with the back one, they just said, just don't play until January. You can play on the mouthpiece, but don't play on the horn. So actually, like, the first time that I played on the horn was when I saw you in Berlin, which is hysterical. But like, and then, but basically then I started playing in the orchestra, like, again, in very small little ways after that. And he kind of said, you'll be about back to normal in about May. But the, injury had happened over a year before that. So basically, like, my experience with the injuries had to do with, like, just patience. And I would put a lot of musical projects in front of myself. So, like, learning different pieces, singing along with recordings, looking at scores, kind of things like that. And then just kind of, when I came back, I felt much less confident and much more vulnerable. And I felt like I was weak. And so there was a lot of, like, self-talk and trying to talk myself into, like, okay, just connect with the orchestra, subdivide along with the moving train, look at your colleagues as they're playing, and just take the baton that they hand to you. And, it's like, and then I did Alexander technique to make sure that I wasn't playing with tension and that my posture was okay. And I did a lot of yoga and breathing bag again, Arnold Jacobs. So basically just a lot of work, like a lot of grunt work to get back from it, and a lot of mental work. But it's just kind of like everything else in our field. Like, you put in all this time and all this effort, and then when you hit a roadblock, you just gotta, like, push your way through it somehow. So
work with what you have.
there's a lot of support out there on this topic too, if anybody ever needs to.
Thanks for that name, that doctor, and we can post some more stuff when we repost the video as well. Thank you. On that note too, with what's going on with your incredible teaching record and passion and creativity, what are you doing with your kids for this time where the social distancing is happening? You have other creative things you're getting them to do to keep the self-worth up? And as one of the guys I follow, Brendan Burchard, he says, your dreams are not canceled. And you just have a bit more time actually to dive in and do it. What would you say to everybody at home for that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think, so for the Curtis and Juilliard kids that I teach, we're doing sort of a combination of projects. I mean, I think it's important to kind of know everybody's feeling a different level of motivation through this. And, I think it's hard as musicians if we don't have the audition that we were hoping to have coming up happening, or the concerts that we were hoping for. It's like, those are disappointments and they're losses. So in a way, like, I think we all have to, like, deal with some of the loss and be okay with that, and kind of
mourn our loss along the way. Yeah.
Right. There's loss and there's fear, and there's stress of family members and loved ones, and just like the stress of not being able to get out there. But I think it's okay if we feel not like putting on an octet of ourselves playing all 8 parts to the Meistersinger or something. Like, I think if we can get ourselves to motivate to do certain projects, I think we should do it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to have my students do, is like is have little projects every day or every week. Like, we started with etude projects where I would play an etude for them. They'd play, I'd send them one, they send me one. Then we did a solo piece, and now we're going to do an audition list. Like, I'm kind of prescribing some projects, but I think the main thing for all musicians right now is, like, if you ask yourself, what do I love? Like, what pieces do I love? What composer do I love? What type of thing do I love? To do my learning through that venue. Because it might just not be like, like, some people really love basics and just kind of getting down to the nitty gritty, and that feels good, and you feel like you're taking a bath, and you're really getting clean and all this. And some people just want to play along with Mahler symphonies all day. And I think, like, our learning can take place anywhere we put it, as long as we're being mindful about it. So I'd say, like, follow your passion and your love through a difficult time, and, like, let it feed you. Like, if we're musicians, it's because it feeds our soul, and we want to help that feed somebody else's life and make it more beautiful. So, like, I'd say, like, go with that, but also be mindful, like, if I want to keep on learning and striving, and if my dreams are not canceled and I want to be better at the end of this than I was, then maybe, like, all the things my teachers have been telling me about, like, work on your tonguing or work on your low register, like, do that by playing the 4th horn parts from Mahler Symphony, and, like, see what happens there. Like, you'll sort of ignite your own problem solving.
No, it's like when we talk about problem solving, for myself, when I have a problem and I diagnose it and then I come back and I solve it, it's like this adrenaline rush, you know, it's like that light bulb. I'm like, yes, I just figured out a new thing, or I just had this new discovery.
Yeah.
You know, what do you have experiences with that, like, Jen?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the drive that's in each of us. Actually, that's kind of why I started recording myself. I started recording rehearsals because then if I would crack something, instead of leaving the rehearsal and being like, oh, I suck, forget it, I don't want to play tomorrow. Instead, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go listen to it, I'm going to figure it out. And whatever it is, I'm going to do it better tomorrow, and it's going to be awesome. You know, just wait and see, like, kind of thing.
The way
so
out is
like helps
through.
me convert my frustrations. Huh?
Awesome. The way out is through. It's a nice Alanis Morissette lyric.
Oh, yes. I love that. Yeah. But yeah, so like I do feel like if we kind of ride that high and let it propel us, it's amazing. So like whatever information you get from yourself and from your experiences, if you then ride them and ride that wave, it also makes us better teachers to get excited about that. And as teachers, it's good to be like, you know, you just taught me something. Student, you're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's this back and forth.
That two-way street of teaching, right? It's like the student is the one who gets all the benefit. It's like the teacher gets the benefit from being, you know, working with the student.
Yeah, I've heard the best teacher is teaching. I love that.
Huh?
The best teacher is teaching.
That.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah,
I know, right? Like, oh.
Yeah. So what we're getting from you, Jen, is really you're just a natural. You haven't had to work at anything, and it's been just a gift. You're gifted, and
yeah.
What do you eat? Maybe that's what we need to know.
All the way.
You know what I did hear though?
Thanks for sharing. So great. Go, Dave.
Greg Eustace used to say. Greg Eustace was principal horn of the Dallas Symphony, and Greg would talk about how Jen is just built to play the horn. Like she was like born to play the horn. Like, I mean, embouchure wise, setup wise, like everything is kind of, you know, just there. So that is, I mean, obviously we all have gifts, right? And you know, it'd be like an NBA player being like 7 foot tall, but you know, again, just because you can, you know, dunk the ball doesn't mean that you're going to be in the NBA. It's like, you got to have that work and that joy and that passion. And I think the passion that you have has fueled your work.
Yeah, I think everybody who wants to have a life in music definitely like has gifts that are natural. And you're right, like my lips are good that way. Like they do get around the horn, which is amazing. And like I love that. I'm like, thank God. Like literally thank God. But it's like you know, or nature or whatever. But like yeah, I think we all are also gonna have our roadblocks and our, you know, like huge hurdles. And yeah, I think you're right. Like it's the hard work and the passion that'll get us over that, and also like the community of resources and people who are supportive around you.
Yeah.
You know, so
and there's a big part of this.
A
big part of this too is that when our strengths become our weakness, you know, and for each of us to watch for that too. So it's not, if our strength is hard work, I've watched a lot of people hard work themselves into corners, you know, and so it's still this creativity aspect that we have to be able to go around and go under, go over, and how much do you want it? How often do you want it? Keep going. And that's what I'm hearing from you today. That's great for everybody to hear, how much you work at it and keep working at it. Yeah.
Well, what you just said about the hard working yourself into a corner is interesting, because yeah, sometimes we find students who are practicing like, you know, 6 or 8 hours a day, but they're not being particularly mindful about it, and they're not problem solving particularly well, or like their bodies aren't working well, so they're just kind of sealing in bad habits. So
did you do a video about that somewhere that I was watching this morning on YouTube? I'm just going to look it up and post it. Yeah, about being smart with your practice time, right? And the things you can look to.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, but it's a good point, like being kind of a little bit self-assessing all the time. And
so Jen, could you talk about how the time off the horn during the injury has kind of prepared you mentally to take this time off the orchestra?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, it's interesting. I think we were talking a little bit in a horn class recently about, I'm sorry, not a horn class, in a meeting that I had with Curtis, about how as students and as musicians, it's really hard to structure your own time when you don't have imposed structure. And I think that's an amazing thing. Anytime you have time off, like time off when I had my kids, time off when I had my injuries, time off now. you know, anything that's any length of time, you know, like students who aren't doing a summer festival but want to spend some time working on a particular topic over the summer instead of going to a summer festival. Like, it's important to know how to balance your life and structure it in a way that you think will be helpful. So like, if you know yourself, like for me, I know that in the morning I have to play a little and get myself kind of warmed up and opened up. So I, you know, again, the yoga and the meditation and the breathing and stuff, and maybe just a little bit of something. And then like, it doesn't work to do like a big long thing then right then, you know, like it would need to be, my hard work is always going to be later in the day for me. That's just me. And, you know, but maybe, you know, then my kids are outside doing something cute and that will feed my soul to go and hang out with them. And so I'll like let myself do that.
And this is the best time ever to find your own schedule, find which hours are good for what. You know, with this real at home every day thing for everybody, now is a great time to figure out kind of how to get up early or get some things done late at night or not, or whatever. Each is success is figured out. There are some requirements, but other than that, there's 24 hours in the day. Some people are affected by circadian rhythms. Is that right? Is that what it's called? Some aren't. Yeah.
But finding out also like what is the balance, like,
yeah,
right? And then sometimes like in the afternoon, I often really want to listen to music and I'll like follow that desire. Like I've always just felt that way. Like in the afternoon while I'm doing other stuff, I just want to like, you know, hear something awesome. And that kind of revives me through like the afternoon lull or whatever. Same late at night. Like after I practice, a lot of times I want to listen to something. I want to dork out to like, you know, a bunch of violinists. I'll like go on YouTube and like, you know, start at Heifetz and then go to like Misha Emery, you know, Emery, and then I'll go to Oistrakh and I'll just like go down this rabbit hole of like amazing, inspiring musicians, you know, and like it's good to like feed your soul and feed your body and be healthy and like try to like work and play and enjoy and kind of have it all like intermix. And I think like balancing and finding what helps you feel motivated and feel the love and feel the desire to work, I think is important, especially when you have some free time. So I guess I would say like all of my time off for the injury and the kids has taught me like try not to judge yourself too much by like I should, but instead to see if you can ride your own waves of inspiration and ride your own waves of hard work. Like when you feel like it, just get in there and do it, and you know, all that stuff.
And keep feeding the waves too in your own ways. Yeah, I love the listening. It really reminds you why we're doing it. I know I've had to remind some of my students, you know, too, that you're not doing your routine to get good at the routine. You're doing it to play music and go chamber music, all the different ways to be doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and actually during this time, like sometimes this chamber music thing, like you can record chamber music on top of each other, and that's really fun.
Yeah.
Like I just did a Brahms trio and a Beethoven sextet, and like I did like a recital that had me and like a MIDI piano, which was ridiculous, but it was so challenging and like really invigorating. So it's like I felt like I am with people, you know, and I play along with recordings of symphonies like almost every day, or I'll play like the whole Strauss, you know, just for fun. It's like it feeds your soul.
Oh man, the day of the audition, I'm
Lincoln Park, isn't it?
Sometimes I'll just put in my earplugs so I don't have to hear the other horn players, and I'll sing. Like I just sing. Like I sing through my Mozart like exposition, and I try to like find my musical voice again. I'm trying to find like, how I want to phrase, but no, I don't really. I was listening to these like meditation things for a while. They're like Alan Weiss and this USC guided meditations. They're like 15-20 minute guided meditations.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, he's like, he's just got this really soothing voice, and he's like, you know, if your mind wanders, you know, just bring it back to the center. You know, just all right.
Only it's a nice voice. It's nicer voice than that, right?
That's his voice. He's like, and I want you to think about your breathing, and you know, maybe find a, you know, don't beat yourself up if you go into stories. Come back to the present.
Nice.
I love it. I'm like
guy to guy meditation. That's amazing.
Yeah, right. Come on, boy.
He's like, all right, good, all right, L'chaim, good job, everybody.
L'chaim. Speaking of L'chaim, Jen, what were you gonna say about meditation?
Are we back on? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I mean, meditation is amazing. Like whenever I get myself into a spot, honestly, like I forget about all of the helpful, healthy things that have always put me in the past. And it's always like Julie or like an old friend, like Eric Reed or like Gabe Kovac. It'll be like some buddy or some teacher who will be like, oh yeah, well, you know, have you ever tried this? Or like, you know, remember like you always used to do that? That kind of worked for you. Like, want to give it a try? I'm like, oh yeah. Like I think we miss and we forget these things, but like metta meditations are wonderful when you're feeling, those are loving kindness meditations. They're really good when you're feeling fear, to like balance it with love. And then there's like there's these lamp, like is what I call it, from Jack Cornfield. There's, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Jack Cornfield, there's A Path with Heart, which is a book and CD of his that has this wonderful like thing where your hands become filled with lava, like, and you put healing hands
Your hands
anywhere
become
that you feel
what was
pain
that?
or you feel fear. They become liquid light.
Ooh.
Filled with liquid white light. Yeah. So
Nice.
some part of you will like become red with like tension or pain or fear or something, and it's good for injuries and it's good for feeling fear before auditions and things. And I'll lay down before anything scary. I always go into a room by myself and I'll lay down on the ground, put my feet up on a chair, and I'll nose breathe in and out and kind of nose breathe in and then hum. And I'll do that for a really long time until I get distracted. And then when I start getting distracted, then I'll start at the top of my head and I'll do like a body scan meditation with the lava lamp. So like putting like liquid light healing on my brain to calm down. Like the red in my head is all the fast moving doubts. And then I'll put the liquid light, the white light seeps in and makes it, more and more light until it's white. And then I'll go down and I'll ease the tension in my face. And then I'm totally crazy. I know.
No, just kidding. Whatever works. Are you kidding? No way. It's all.
I know, whatever works, right? So there's a really good meme from some other interview I did where I look like I'm like totally, absolutely lost my mind. It's fabulous. You should find it. Yeah. But anyway, so like body scan down your whole body and relax all the areas of your body that are tense. And like kind of exhale into your body and rest them and melt them into the ground. And by the end, you feel like you're really calm and in a very nice element.
Hey, Jen.
All your body parts down into the ground. Yeah.
Hey, Jen. Can I request that you do a video of your guided meditation? Because I just hearing you talk about it, I'm already feeling more relaxed.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like I felt like I was like.
But you know what we can do?
Yeah. Jen, we lost you.
I was going to say we should ask Julie Lansman to do it. Julie Lansman to do it. She's really relaxing.
Yeah. So we were just saying how to, like, some people discount meditation because it isn't a guarantee for anything in the future. But don't discount how valuable it is to be present and affected by something right now. Same with all my little quotes. I love quotes because it gets me optimal for maybe 5 seconds till I forget it and move on to something else. With meditation too, to be in that moment and be doing whatever crazy Jen stuff. Let's just call that's the technical term, the scientific term. No, we're gonna get her to do videos. She just agreed to do some videos on this and to be putting light around you. Why not? Whatever.
I know, right?
So great.
Well,
thanks for sharing.
No, but Jeff, the what you just said about the being in the moment for a second, like that is definitely like excerpts, and that is that crazy high lick in that piece where it comes out of nowhere. Like you have to like be really mindful and very attuned for certain parts of playing the horn. Yeah, like or playing any instrument. It's like we have these high moments of like you have to focus, you got to concentrate, you got to bring what you've practiced. And like, I think the physical aspect of musicians, what we do, like walking meditation is very powerful. Eating meditation, being mindful of every step or every motion of your body. Yoga, if you do yoga in a meditative way where you're like noticing how you go from one pose to the next, then you have more control of your mind controlling your body. And that's what music is. Like you're trying to like make your mind who wants to play this piece, play this weird instrument, and somehow get it out your bell to sound like what you envision in your head, like that. It's a complete parallel. So
And on your first version as well, like you can walk, but walk across a tightrope. It's, and that's mental, right? The physicalities of being able to do it is what we do in routine and making habits and everything that ups our chances of doing it on our first go. But then it's the mental training of knowing what
it's
you
like the
need
connector.
Uniquely to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt?
It's the connector aspect. Yeah, totally. Go for it.
Well, I was just going to say, Jen, what it reminded me of is like, all right, so you're taking this meditation practice and you're taking it to anything you do. You're taking it to your eating. You're taking it to your walking. You're taking it to being mindful while you're playing. And the thing that sticks out to me is that's what you taught me without teaching me with the Caruso method. It's
the essence of it. Yeah.
It's the way that it's so simple, it's so easy, but yet I'm complicated. And every day I come back to these simple exercises. And when I'm mindful in my playing, I can take that mindfulness in anything I do. And it's like, that attention to detail, the attention to fundamentals. And now all of a sudden, like these fundamentals are in my Strauss 1, these fundamentals are in my Mozart 4 or my excerpts, or, Heldenleben when I'm playing, right?
Yes, totally. Yeah, it's interesting because with my injury, the back injury, what I noticed is that like foundation and fundamentals actually can be emotionally incredibly reassuring. Like I developed this visualization of a beach house, and it's like you build a beautiful house. You've got all these amazing decorations. That's your musical ideas. You want this house to be incredible forever. But then you've got to have these pillars that have to keep you in sand when the waves come. And so for me, things like Caruso, or just even like breath, and support and like mental like mindfulness and rhythm, like these really big stabilizing forces, like then when the waves come and it's about to destroy your house, like it'll keep you solid and it helps me feel confident. So like if I'm feeling unsteady because of something, I'll try to bulk up my foundation and then try to feel trust in it to then feel free to create on top of it. But yeah, I think like the mindfulness is maybe the glue that holds it all together.
Wow.
But you haven't really thought about it. You haven't really thought about this much. Man,
nah.
God.
No.
Dude,
my brain is so weird.
You want me to drive over there? You want me to drive over to Indiana and punch him through the...
No, it's illegal. Stay in your state. Stay in your lane.
Hobby.
I want Jen.
Some hobbies.
Jen just drove into the lane. She's here. Hey, Jen. Come on in.
I'm coming on over. I got to feed your fish. They're looking a little dry over there.
That's right.
Oh, you're so funny. Oh, Jen, it's been such a pleasure to see you.
Fantastic.
And this time we spent together, it's just unbelievable.
Thank you, Jen. I was going to try and put David into the waiting room, but I don't know how.
Oh my gosh, this was so fun. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us come play with your orchestra.
Yeah, thank you. That was like one of the highlights of my career. Absolutely. And then of course, just like how kind you've been to me over my career. It's just, you're such a good friend and you're such a great colleague. And, it's so great.
You both.
It's great to see you again today and hear from you and hear your insights. And, we really appreciate your honesty and your thoughtfulness and your time. So it's really a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. Now I want to hear all your answers to all the questions you had for me. But no, it was an honor being here. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to see your videos. Wow, it's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. We'll
Thanks,
see you
Jen.
soon.
Bye. Lots of love.
Bye. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.